Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Crystal Domain. We're back with another Commander video. In this one, we're going to be going over the Limit Break Final Fantasy VII Precon. We're going to be taking some cards out. We're going to be putting some cards in with the restriction that we are only using cards from the Final Fantasy set. So far, these editions are only with the main set. I've not done any of the Through the Ages bonus sheet cards, which are cheeky in that they are like reprints of mostly prolific cards that are going to be really expensive. I kind of advise not going in that direction. Truly, like if you are looking to upgrade these precons, if you are getting your hands on them, I would advise really going in the direction of regular cards, or at least restricting yourself to the main set of Final Fantasy. I got this idea from actually Rachel Weeks when the Lord of the Rings set came out. She talked about that she was going to get all the precons and upgrade them only with main set Lord of the Rings cards. And I found that really cool. And I'm not like that attached to that kind of product. I don't really care about Lord of the Rings. But for me, I care a lot about Final Fantasy, so I wanted to do that with the Final Fantasy precons. So I'll be doing a upgrade of all the Final Fantasy precons with only upgrades from the main set. So if you're interested in that, leave a like, comment your thoughts down below, and of course subscribe to support the channel. But more importantly, your time watching these videos means more than anything else. But like I said, if you really want to support the channel, you can hit us the subscribe button. We are over the hump. We hit 400, which is super awesome. Thank you for your support, and we can get even closer to 500 as we go along. So now let's actually start talking about this deck. So we're gonna get acquainted with the commander. Cloud X Soldier is two colorless and Naya, a red, green, and white, for a 4/4 with haste. And when he enters, you attach up to one target equipment you control to it. This is nice. The idea being that you could already have some of your equipments out, and by getting him out on curve at turn 5 or earlier, you might already have an equipment out that's just sitting hanging out, and you get him equipped early. Whenever Cloud attacks, you draw a card for each equipped attacking creature you control. Then if Cloud has 7 or greater power, you create 2 treasure tokens. We do like this. There's some ramp. There is card draw by equipping more than just Cloud to things. Really, you just need his power at 7, and then you're good to go to get the full value going. That's already a good amount of damage. There is means of making this card just one-shot players. This is built in a direction to do the classic Voltron, where you build up one guy, and then you go nuts by just killing every player one at a time. So obviously, after talking about what Cloud does, this is obviously a equipment-oriented deck. So we're going to be running a lot of equipments, but we're also going to be running a good amount of creatures. That way we get synergy with those cards. So now, let's talk a bit about some of the cards in this deck. Let's talk about our artifacts. Arcane Signet obviously comes in the deck, which is a broken mana rock. Behemoth Sledge is a great addition to this deck. This is a 3-drop equipment, green and a white, to give a creature +2/+2, trample, and lifelink, giving your Voltron commander keywords, is a good idea. That way you are furthering your strategy, of course, to beat each player down one at a time. Trample, similar to piercing battle damage in Yu-Gi-Oh! Lifelink, very crucial. That way, as you're beating down players, you will start to get focused because they are worried that they are next. And that lifelink will usually help you attempt to attrition the other players. Champion's Helm gives the equipped creature +2/+2, and if it happens to be legendary, which is going to be almost every card in this deck, it gives them hexproof, which is excellent protection. We do like that. Of course, they reprinted Colossus Hammer. This is a very cheap to play, but 8 to equip, massive equipment that gives the equipped creature +10/+10 and loses flying. Luckily, Cloud doesn't fly, so that doesn't really cause him any problems, and makes Cloud huge. This card's great. I'm glad that this was a reprint for this deck. If you want to get really fancy, there is a Secret Lair version that will be coming out in the Final Fantasy Secret Lair if you just want to get like super high profile with your cards in this deck. Conformer Shuriken is a new card. This is a 2-drop equipment, legendary equipment, 2 to equip, featuring Yuffie with her weapon of choice. Equipped creature has whenever this creature attacks, tap target creature defending player controls. If that creature has greater power than this creature, put a number of 1/1 counters on this creature equal to the difference. What I like about this card is that it is designed for your other creatures. Of course, you could put this on Cloud if Cloud just happens to not be the biggest guy in the room. The goal is to have Cloud be the strongest creature at the table, so more than likely this is going to be beneficial for your other cards. But really, this does help the rest of your creatures keep up. That way, if you go swinging more than one creature at a time, your lower end creatures equipped with this shuriken will get better and allow you to do some wider swings against your opponents. Conqueror's Flail, nice reprint. This is a 2-drop equipment. It gives the equipped creature +1/+1 for each color among permanents you control. So ideally, you're going to have all 3 of your colors to give your guys +1 or +3/+3 to the equipped creature. As long as this equipment is attached to a creature, your opponents cannot cast spells during your turn. And we add a bonus. We get a Grand Abolisher effect. That way they cannot do stuff on our turn, which is fantastic. We do not like to be responded to. We do not like interaction. This deck is all about very straightforward thinking. Kill the player, they do not respond. Darksteel Plate is another excellent reprint. This gives the equipped creature indestructible. Hero's Blade is also another very good reprint here, which is 2 to play, 4 to equip. It gives the equipped creature +3/+2, and if any legendary creature enters under your control, you can attach this equipment to it. What's nice about this is if you go for a different equipment early and then Cloud comes out, he will equip an equipment, of course, on entry, but it doesn't have to be the Hero's Blade. And then Hero's Blade itself can equip to Cloud. So without, bypassing equipment costs, you could get up to 2 equipments. Maybe more, I don't really know. I don't really think that'll happen. But, the idea being that there's some good high end here for getting up to 2 equipments equipped to Cloud immediately on entry, which is quite nice. Hero's Heirloom, this is another good one. This one gives the equipped creature +2/+1, and if it is legendary, it is trample and haste as well. Good keywords. Likely to happen, as this is Final Fantasy, so basically every creature printed is legendary. Inspiring Statuary gives your non-artifact spells improvise. This is also nice. A little bit of ramp in this deck. That way our stuff is easier to play. And your artifacts helping cast it don't really matter, because if you tap an equipment, it's still equipped. So, truly, really cool bonus here to ramp out some spells. We got the Boots with the Fur. These give haste and shroud. Lightning Greaves is a great reprint to maybe reduce the cost of this a little bit. The funnier idea is that Cloud is likely not the person in the artwork here. This is clearly Tifa, but it is funnier to think that this is Cloud in a skirt and he's got the boots on. He's rocking them. Mask of Memory, awesome artwork here of Genova. This one gives the equipped creature, when you deal damage to a player, you can draw 2 cards and then discard a card. We do like card advantage. This doesn't really further the game plan in terms of power, but it does keep us going in terms of cards in hand, which is important. Skull Clamp is a bit weird here. Not likely to be exploitable in this deck because we're not making hero tokens as per part of the gimmick of the set, being that you can make hero tokens. We're not going to be doing that too much in this deck. But really, it's more just if your guy equipped with it happens to die, you're going to draw 2 cards for it. So this is a good card to equip to Cloud, because they're going to want to kill your commander, and then at least if they do, you're drawing 2 cards for it. So it does sort of, in a way, protect your commander. Not fully, but it is an inadvertent, like, don't do it kind of thing. Soul Ring, it's Soul Ring. And then Summoning Materia is a new card. I do like this card quite a bit. This is a 3-drop green equipment. You can look at the top card of your library anytime. As long as this equipment is attached to a creature, you can cast creature spells from the top of your library, and the equipped creature gets +2/+2 vigilance and becomes a mana dork to tap for green, and it costs 2 to equip. I do like this card. I do think this is very neat, and it is a cool addition to the deck. That is ramp, it is keyword, it is power, and it is also card advantage from the top of the deck, which is nice. Sword of the Animus is a fantastic reprint here. Equipped creature gets +1/+1, and on attack, you can search your library for a basic land, put it on the battlefield tapped, and then shuffle. This is bread and butter ramp, and colors like these. Sword of the Animus is a staple in decks that want to play equipment, and also colors that don't really ramp that well. This is a Naya deck, so ramp is available, just that Sword of the Animist is great because it forwards the game plan by buffing the equipped card, but also it does ramp us that way we're not drawing into lands as often. Deck thinning is deck winning. And then another new card, we have Wrecking Ball Arm. This is Barrett's equipment. 2 to play, 7 to equip normal, or 3 to equip on a legendary creature. Equipped creature has base power and toughness 7/7 and can't be blocked by creatures with power 2 or less. So equipping this to Cloud would be fantastic. It is on curve at turn 2, so it'll come out before Cloud. In theory, Cloud comes out, equips this immediately, and then because he's base power 7/7, he's hard to block early because most people are going to have little guys out by this time. And then you swing and create 2 treasure tokens, which is fantastic. All right, now let's go over some of our sorceries. Austere Command is an excellent board wipe. Very low in budget, which is always good, and a good reprint just to keep this card cheap, affordable, and is a excellent board wipe. Cultivate, good ramp. Nature's Lore, good ramp. Rampant Growth, good ramp. Secret Rendezvous is a new card, or is it? This might be a reprint. It has cute artwork of Cloud with you get a random one in your deck. I believe there's like 4 different arts that it can be. I happen to just choose the one. I choose the correct choice where it's with Tifa. This is a 3-drop sorcery. You and target opponent each draw 3 cards. This is a cute card. I like that it just is Final Fantasy centric in the theme of what they're doing with the artwork, and card advantage is nice. Unfinished Business, 5-drop sorcery. Return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield, then return up to 2 target aura or equipment cards from your graveyard to the battlefield attached to that creature. This card's great. This will absolutely go further beyond this deck. This is an excellent card in aura decks, obviously, an excellent card in other types of equipment decks. If you're in mono white, this is a great card because you're not the color intensity of the card is easier to pull, and just in general, this is a great recursion piece. That way, if you have this in hand and they kill Cloud, you'll just throw them in the bin, and then whatever equipments are in the bin, you just grab them with him, and then he's right back where he started, which is excellent. Vandal Blast is another great reprint here. This is great disruption. So there's a little bit of board wipe in here with like the command. There is Vandal Blast. There is Vanquish the Horde. We have a number of board wipes here, which is excellent. Now we're going to go into our creatures. Aerith, Last Ancient, our first card. This is obviously brand new. She's a green and a white legendary human cleric druid, 3/5 with lifelink, and the ability Raise. At the beginning of your end step, if you gained life this turn, return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. If you gained 7 or more life this turn, return that card to the battlefield instead. Recursion, lifelink, so furthering our attrition against the opponents to survive while we're trying to beat them down. And again, as we just said, recursion is quite nice. Armory Automaton is a 3-drop new construct guy, 2/2. When it enters or attacks, you may attach any number of target equipment to it. This could be gross. Good alternative. If Cloud is gone, you can just start beefing up the robot instead. Barrett Wallace, 4-drop, 4/4 with reach. Whenever it attacks, it deals damage equal to the number of equipped creatures you control to defending player. A little bit of burn, just to further the ability to kill them faster, which is quite nice. Then we got Barrett, Avalanche Leader. This is a Gruul version of him, 4/4, also with reach. And the ability Avalanche. Whenever an equipment you control enters, you create a 2/2 Rebel. At the beginning of combat on your turn, attach up to one target equipment you control to target Rebel you control. Rebel Synergy. We're fighting the man. This card's just kind of neat. I like that it makes dudes, which is great for if stuff is dying, you got guys in play to equip to. Bastion Protector is a great reprint in this deck, giving your commander +2/+2 and indestructible. Bronze Guardian, 5-drop, Ward 2 Double Striker. Protects our artifacts by giving them Ward 2. And this creature's power is equal to the number of artifacts you control. Love it. Big guy. Bugenhagen. Wise Elder. This he's wise. 2-drop, 1/3 reach. Sure, just giving keywords to everybody. At the beginning of your upkeep, if you control a creature with power 7 or greater, draw a card, and he's a mana dork. A reaching mana dork is pretty neat. You're not gonna equip this guy very often, but drawing cards and a mana dork on top of it is quite nice. Kate Sith, Fortune Teller. We got a Cap Moogle. Red, legendary, 3/3, with lucky slots. Make sure you say that right. Don't mess that up. At the beginning of combat on your turn, scry 1. Then exile the top card of your library. You may play that card this turn. When you exile a card this way, target creature you control gets +X/+O until end of turn, where X is that card's mana value. We like Impulse. We like Scry, so we know what we are impulsing, especially we can throw it to the bottom if we don't need it, and hope that next card on top is better. And then creature get big. It's kind of nice. Sid, Free Flyer Pilot. This is a 2-drop, 2/2 with equipment and vehicle spells you cast costs 1 less to cast. And then during your turn, he has flying because he has jump, so he's a Dragoon. And then tap 2 and tap, return target equipment or vehicle card from your graveyard to your hand. I love this card. This card's going to see play absolutely outside of this deck. This is going to be a great commander option for those like mono-white vehicle, mono-white equipment style decks, or just in general in vehicle decks of various types. Really like this card. Elena, Turk Recruit. This is a 3-drop, 1/4. When it enters, return target non-assassin historic card from your graveyard to your hand. Good recursion. Whenever you cast a historic spell, put 1/1 counters on Elena. Again, this just furthers our strategy. She gets big on her own, so we don't really have to equip her per se, and that allows us to keep going a little bit further wide and not just hard focusing one creature, which is a nice advantage of this deck. That way we're not dying super fast. Heidegger, Shinra Executive, 4-drop, 3/3. At the beginning of combat on your turn, target creature you control gets +X/+O until end of turn, where X is the number of soldiers you control. At the beginning of your end step, you create a number of soldier tokens equal to the number of opponents who control more creatures than you. So one of those cards that is, the catch-up mechanic where you get guys, but then as you get guys, your stuff gets bigger, which is quite nice. Heli Trooper, 2-drop, 1/2 flyer. When it attacks, another target attacking creature gains flying until end of turn. Equip abilities you activate that target this creature cost 2 less to activate. A good Voltron target, and also gives other guys flying. Professional Facebreaker is an excellent reprint in this deck. Print this card into the ground. Make it affordable for everybody. Professor Hojo, the new guy. He's a 2-drop, 2/2. The first activated ability you activate during your turn, that targets a creature you control, costs 2 less to activate. Cool. Whenever one or more creatures you control become the target of an activated ability, you draw a card, but it only triggers once each turn. Nice. Card draw and ramp. We love it. Pure Steel Paladin, great reprint here. Red 13, Proud Warrior. This is a Gruul 3/3 beast with Vigilance and Trample. These are excellent keywords. Other modified creatures you control have Vigilance and Trample. Awesome. So he shares his keywords. And then Cosmo Memory. When Red 13 enters, return target aura or equipment card from your graveyard to your hand. Recursion. Excellent. Sephiroth, Fallen Hero. They do add the bad guys into this deck. He's a Boros 7/5 with Genova cells. Whenever it attacks, you may put a cell counter on a creature, and then until end of turn, each modified creature you control gets his same base power toughness of 7/5. And then the Reunion. For 3 mana, sacrifice a modified creature, return this card from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. He recurs himself, and he makes your guys huge. This card is excellent. And then we have the Broken Tifa Martial Artist. This is the sub-commander of the deck. She's Naya, 4/4 with melee. Whenever one or more creatures you control with power 7 or greater deal combat damage to a player, you untap all creatures you control. If it's the first combat phase of your turn, there's an additional combat phase after this phase. So, clarification. If you have 3 creatures with 7 or greater power and double strike, and you equip, or you send them all at each of your opponents, they take the damage, Tifa's ability triggers, and we'll see each creature has done that attack twice. And because it is the first combat phase, after they untap, you get 6 additional combat phases. And then if you add the Genji Glove, which came out, I think you can get up to like 10 additional combats. It's pretty absurd. This card's broken. It is significantly stronger than Cloud, but Cloud is better in the command slot, and Tifa is just better. Tifa's better as her own deck, where you kind of build around doing her thing, but she does help this deck a lot close games out. Vincent, Vengeful Atoner. This is a mono-red 3/3 menace creature. Whenever one or more creatures you control deal combat damage to a player, you put a 1/1 counter on Vincent, and then Chaos. Whenever Vincent deals combat damage to an opponent, it deals that much damage to each other opponent if Vincent's power is 7 or greater. This can also help close out a game, which is excellent. Really, just the ability to burn in this deck on top of the combat damage is a nice touch. And then lastly, we have Zach Fair. He's a little guy. He's a 0/1 that enters with a 1/1 counter on him, so he's a 1/2 actually. And then tap 1, sacrifice him, he dies. Target creature you control gets indestructible until end of turn, and then you put his counters on that creature and attach an equipment that was attached to Zach's Fair to that creature. This card's a massive flavor win. Like, if you get the Buster Sword on him and then you sack it and give it to Cloud, it's a rite of passage. It's beautiful. Very huge flavor win here. Spoilers, Zach Fair dies. That's the joke. All right, that's our creature count. We are now going to go over the enchantments. There's only 2. Furious Rise. There's a 3-drop. Beginning of your end step, if you control a creature with power 4 or greater, you impulse the top card of your library, you exile it, and then you can play that card until you exile another card with this enchantment. Good card advantage. We do like that. And then Soldier Military Program, another 3-drop enchantment. At the beginning of your combat on your turn, you choose one, but if you control your commander, you choose both. Instead, you create a soldier, or you put a 1/1 counter on each of up to 2 soldiers you control. Just nice bonus where they're printing enchantments now that are modal, but they get better if you have your commander out, which just makes cards like this much better to use. Then we're going to go over our instances. We got Chaos Warp, good removal. Clever Concealment, excellent protection. Cloud's Limit Break's a new one. This is a tiered spell. So it costs 2 to play, and then the tiered thing is that you choose 1 additional cost, so you can make it do more things. If you pay 0, it destroys a tapped creature. If you pay an additional 1, it destroys any number of target tapped creatures with different controllers. And then if you do the Omni Slash for 4 additional mana, making it a 6-drop board wipe, it destroys all tapped creatures. It's modal. It's more about you can do this as like easy removal, but it can become a board wipe, which is quite nice. Dispatch is an excellent reprint here. This is the Metalcraft Exile, which is great in this type of deck. Lifestream's Blessing, this is an excellent new card. This is a massive 6-drop instant where you draw X cards, where X is the greatest power among creatures you control as you cast the spell, and if this spell was cast from exile, you gain twice X life, and then you can foretell it for 5. I think this card's great. You're going to be able to draw a lot of cards with this, and you could do it like in response to cards being killed, which is quite nice. Ultimate Magic Holy. There's another foretell spell for the same cost as its main cast. So for 3 mana, either in foretell or 3 mana regular, permanents you control gain indestructible until end of turn. If this spell was cast from exile, you prevent all combat damage, or all damage that would be dealt to you this turn as well, which is pretty good. We're not going to cover the mana base. Who cares? We're now going to go into the upgrades. We now know what this deck does. It wants to gain life. It wants to get all of its creatures to be pretty good size, 7 or greater. It wants additional combats. It wants equipments. It wants Cloud to be big. And it wants to quickly end our opponents. So now it's time to upgrade the deck. Starting with our first upgrade, Adalbert Steiner. He's not from Final Fantasy VII, but he fits the deck. For 2 mana, he's a 2/1 lifelink knight that gets +1/+1 for each equipment you control. Plain and simple, he gets big as you play more equipments. You don't need to equip him yourself. He does it on his own. Main set Cloud, Midgar Mercenary. This is a 2-white, 2/1. With on entry, it searches your library for an equipment card, you reveal it, put it into your hand, then you shuffle, and as long as Cloud is equipped, if an ability of Cloud or an equipment attached to it triggers, that ability triggers an additional time. That could be quite nice. Dancer's Chakrams. This is a 4-drop equipment from the Final Fantasy XIV side of the set. It has job select, so on entry, it will create a colorless 1/1 hero and then attach the equipment to the token. Equipped creatures get +2/+2 and lifelink, and other commanders you control get +2/+2 and lifelink, and the creature is a performer in addition to its other types. And then Krishna, which is just the flavor text for Equip 3. I like this card because it does buff the commander as well, so it's a good support card for your deck. Therian, Wild Rose Warrior. This is the main character of Final Fantasy II. He gives equipped creatures haste, and whenever a non-token equipment you control enters, you create a token that's a copy of it, except it has this equipment's equip abilities cost 2 less to activate, and you sack the token at the beginning of the next upkeep. I like that this card does allow you to go kind of crazy. Like, imagine you, imagine the high end, right? You have Pure Steel out, and then you clone it, or not Pure Steel. You have Pure Steel out, you play Colossus Hammer, you clone it with Therian, and then you double equip the Colossus Hammer to Cloud. And then he just goes nuts with +20/+20. Like, this card's just very silly. And there's a lot of different high end that this card can achieve. Other than it just makes your equipments do more things early by you get token copies of them, which could be quite nice. Freya Crescent, another Final Fantasy IX character, I think. Yeah. This is a red rat 1/1 with jump. It gets flying during your turn, so it's a Dragoon. And then you can tap it to add a red mana, so we get a mana dork. But it can only be used for equipment spells or to activate an equip ability. Low to the ground, supports the strategy, excellent include in this deck. Gilgamesh, Master at Arms. This guy is big. 6-drop, 6/6. Whenever it enters or attacks, look at the top 6 cards of your library. You may put any number of equipment cards from among them onto the battlefield. You put the rest in the bottom of your library in a random order, and then when you put one or more equipment onto the battlefield this way, you can attach one of them to a samurai you control, which is going to be Gilgamesh. But I guess if you added the samurai equipment to this and put it on Cloud, then there's some high end here where Gilgamesh can then equip to Cloud, which is quite nice. But, I mean, this just searches out equipment and just vomits them to the field, which is great. And then we have Ishgard Holy See. This is a Final Fantasy XIV town. It enters tapped and adds a white mana, or its adventure side is Faith and Grief for 5 mana, sorcery. Return up to 2 target artifact and or enchantment cards from your graveyard to your hand. We like recursion, and this is exactly what we're looking for. Of course, we're running Jumbo Cactuar. This card's dumb. Of course, we're going to be running it. It's 7 mana for a giant 1/7 plant, and the ability 10,000 Needles. Whenever this creature attacks, it gets plus 9,999 until end of turn. I mean, you just kill somebody with this, right? If they don't block it, they die. You give it a keyword, they die. You give it unblockable, they die. Speaking of unblockable, Key to the City. We're adding this to the deck. This is actually in the Final Fantasy VI Precon, but buy another one. Key to the City is whenever this artifact becomes untapped, you may pay 2, and if you do, draw a card. Its other main ability is you can discard a card to make one creature unblockable this turn. This is just crucial for this deck. You need to be playing this card, obviously. Really, that's all there is to it. It makes your guy unblockable, which is a great way to close out a game. Then Ultima Weapon, 7 mana, 7 to equip, +7/+7. On attack, you destroy a creature an opponent controls. Neat. So obviously you could add more to this if you want, like the actual main set Buster Sword. You could add that to the deck if you wanted. I think as of the recording of this video, when I made this upgrade, that card was not revealed yet. But if you want to add it, go for it. Now we're going to go for the cards to remove. Ash Barrens, I'm just not big on these kind of cards. It adds colorless mana, okay. It's a land cycler, I don't care. Avalanche of Sector 7. We are removing some cards that are actually relevant to characters of the game, sadly, but they don't quite fit. This card's just kind of not really... It belongs in a different deck. So 3 mana, Menace. Its power is equal to the number of artifacts your opponents control. Whenever an opponent activates an ability of an artifact they control, it deals a damage to that player. Okay, this is for a different deck. Decimate. It's decent removal. It destroys an artifact, a creature, an enchantment, and a land. But what are we doing? It's 4 mana for this. We don't need this kind of card in here. It's got to go. Explorer Scope is also just, what are we doing here? I mean, on attack, you can look at the top card. If it happens to be a land, you can put on the battlefield tapped. We're running Sword of the Animist. We're running card draw. We're running Impulse. We're running means to get lands out that this card just doesn't do enough for me. Harmonize. Again, what are we doing here? This is 4-drop, draw 3, pass. Hellkite Tyrant. This is another card that's like cool reprint. Doesn't need to be in this deck. 6-drop, 6/5 flying trample. When it deals damage to a player, you gain control of all the artifacts they control. And then on your upkeep, if you happen to own 20 or more artifacts, you win the game. The wrong deck. This is for something else. Summon Kujata. 6-drop, 7/5 trample haste. It's one of the new enchantment saga like creature ox things. So it's an enchantment saga, so it'll go down its modes and then sacrifice itself, but while it's on field, it's also a creature. Its first mode, Lightning, this creature deals 3 damage to each of up to 2 target creatures. Okay. Second ability, Ice, up to 3 target creatures cannot block this turn. Sort of relevant to the deck. 3, Fire. Discard a card, then draw 2 cards. When you discard a card this way, this creature deals damage equal to that card's mana value to each opponent. This doesn't really belong here. The blocking is kind of cool. It prevents blocking, sure. It burns some stuff, sure. Not really what we want in this deck. We want to be focused, and this is kind of deviating to, like, you're dropping a lot of mana for a substrat that doesn't really matter. Trailblazer's Boots. Equipped creature has non-basic land walk. Okay. In a way, it makes it unblockable. Key to the City is a better card. It's kind of already going to be evasive by keywords alone. This card just doesn't really do enough for me to warrant being in the deck, but cool reprint nonetheless. And lastly, Ultimate Magic Meteor. 6-drop, foretell. It deals 7 damage to a creature or each creature, and if the spell was cast from exile for each opponent, you choose an artifact or land they control and destroy those chosen permanents. So it's sort of like Modal. You could get an artifact, you could get a creature, it could burn everybody's crap. We don't really need this kind of board wipe in here. We are already running board wipes. We don't need an extra one. We don't need this one to be high end. It also hits a land or an artifact for by the time you foretell it. You foretell it for 2 and then an additional 6 for 8 mana. No thanks. And that'll do it for today's upgrade. Thank you guys for joining me in this video. Of course, leave a like if you enjoyed it. Leave your thoughts down below on what cards you would add to the deck or what you're going to be doing with your precons. Other than that, leave a subscription as well. That'd be dope. That way we can hit 500 people that have subbed to the channel. That'd be awesome. Get closer to that like partnership thing. That'd be neat. Thank you guys for watching again. Your time is more important than anything, though, when it comes to watching these videos over any other form of support. And as I said, I'll be making more of these precon upgrades in the future. So the first one was Final Fantasy VII. Next one will be whichever one I feel like. I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a good one. Bye-bye.